الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا إننا سمعنا منادي ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. I'd just like to begin by saying that what the Shaykh has said about me is flattering, and I don't deserve half of what he said, and in true reality I think we'd benefit more from him if he was to deliver the lecture. But whatever the case, we are here to talk about, like the Shaykh said, the life of the Prophet ﷺ. And every single one of us are gathered here because we believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So now studying the life of the Prophet ﷺ becomes one of the most honorable acts of worship that a person can ever do. Why? Because through studying the life of the Prophet ﷺ, we get closer to Allah. And also we learn how to follow the Prophet ﷺ. And the ulama of Islam have said that this is the essence of you saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, you want to get closer to him, you believe in him, and you have ikhlas in him. When you say Muhammadur Rasulullah, it's not just something that you leave on the bookshelf, his sunnah and his practices. You implement your belief in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And this is why Ibn Kathir rahimahullah called the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam Usul al-Jamma. Usul al-Jamma. The reason being, and the meaning of Usul al-Jamma is that it's a comprehensive discipline or science. I think everybody, one of us in this room, feel that they want to improve in their Islam in one particular way, whether it's Tajweed, whether it's Quran, whether it's learning Arabic. But Ibn Kathir said that every single one of these principles that we yearn for and that we have an attachment to is found in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is why the ulama from the very beginning of Islam have given the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ its due importance. And the reason being for this is when we study the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, we are supporting the Prophet ﷺ. We are contextualizing his life and his message, which is very important today. People are taking things out of his life and isolating them and making him seem as if he was a warlord, or making them seem as if he was an oppressor, or if he was whatever they say he is. If you contextualize his life, you will see that he is a Nabi al-Tawbah, a Nabi al-Rahmah. And with this, we realize that when we study the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, we are able to defend him against the allegations that these people throw against him. And by, in turn, what that does, it puts love for the believer for the best of mankind. So the only way that you can perfect your iman and get closer to Allah is by understanding the life of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is not just something we're saying out of belief. We're gathered in this room, in this masjid, because we believe in the Prophet ﷺ. This is why we're saying it, because we're biased towards him. This is not the case. And as we will see, the Prophet ﷺ lived in Mecca as a prophet for 13 years, and then in Medina for 10 years. And Islam didn't finish after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. In fact, it spread, it grew. So from the very moment when Jibreel came and he told him to say Iqra, until the last Khalif al-Rashid, which is a space of roughly around 50 years, the globe changed in its form altogether. Muhammad alayhi salam changed the face of mankind until today. So that's why when we see infrastructure in politics, when we see infrastructure in society, when we see infrastructure in economics, when we see infrastructure in human rights, all of this was placed down by the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam within those 50 years. That became the model of it. And to the extent that some of the ulama, these screens in front of us, this technology that we have attributed the knowledge that the advancements that they got earlier on from the early Muslim scientists to the Kitab and the Sunnah. And like the Shaykh said, Rahmatun lil Alameen in more than one way is hidayah, but also all of the infrastructure and all the advancements that we see is always connected to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So talking about his life, he was born in Makkah. Some of the ulama said that the Makkan period begins when he was a prophet, and some of them begin his life when he was born. And this is a lot of the ulama from the books of Serie have documented even before he was born. But whatever the case, they are agreed that he became a prophet at the age of 40, and they are all agreed that when he became a prophet at the age of 40, that's when the rulings of the Sharia became Sharia. Before the age of 40, there was no hukam connected to his actions. Now, before we go into the Makkan period and the life of the Prophet ﷺ, it's very important for us to talk about the Jahiliyyah and the society that the Prophet ﷺ was brought up in. Shirk was rampant. Ideologies were various. Atheism was definitely a part of the society that he came in. And this is, if you read Surah Yasin, it's addressing atheism in totality. There was financial dhulm, there was riba, and there was gambling, and they used to monopolize Hajj, and used to monopolize the idols that were there so that they can oppress those tribes and those people visiting Makkah financially. And because of this, power was a big thing. The Quraysh were power hungry. Life didn't mean anything. People could get killed, especially if they were slaves, especially if they were non-Arabs, and it meant nothing. Women were objectified in that society to the extent that a man will marry off his wife to another man. It's his wife, he's married her, and he'll give her away to another man. And these kind of practices, I don't want to go into details about it because that's not the focus, but this was rampant. And one of the things which is a stark comparison between Jahiliyyah and the time that we live in today is what Khalid ibn Walid radiallahu anh said, that when the Prophet ﷺ sent him on a mission to break one of the idols, when he went there, he found women not wearing any clothes. They were chanting and they were moving their body in a particular way. And they were women of a black complexion. And they were supporting this idol and they were chanting and they were moving their body in a particular way. In society, these women have become our leaders. In society, these women today have a huge role even with the youth of the Muslimin. So the point here is that we're not sitting here talking about a nice fairy tale story which ends in a nice way and he passes away and the companions are settled and they have iman. That's not the point. Allah, through His infinite wisdom and hikmah, has made some of the attributes that the Prophet ﷺ went through everlasting in the Jahiliyyah that he came to eradicate. The Prophet ﷺ, his lineage, he is the best of mankind. He is the leader of mankind. He is the leader of all the Anbiya and all the Rusul. And this is why Allah chose for him the best of lineage. He is Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He comes from a Hashimi tribe which was part of the Quraysh. And their lineage goes back to Ismail, who was the son of Ibrahim, so the father is Ibrahim. So the great-grandfather of the Prophet ﷺ was Ismail and Ibrahim. And this connects back to Adam alayhi salam. Whenever the seerah is mentioned of the Prophet ﷺ, a description is also given of the Prophet ﷺ. So very briefly, the Prophet ﷺ was of average height. He wasn't tall, he wasn't short. He was fair, but he wasn't white. He had long hair, but it wasn't thick. He was broad, but he had an athletic posture. He was broad, but he was athletic. He wasn't hairy, and as Anas radiallahu anhu said, that his face was more beautiful than the moon, when it's full, alayhi salam. His eyes were round and they were very attractive and enchanting. It was as if kuhl was lined around his eyes, alayhi salam, and his eyebrows used to arch over his eyes. His cheeks were soft, his hands were warm and soft, and when he smiled, he used to fill people in with warmth. A beautiful smile, alayhi salam. That was his physical appearance. What about his nature? Ever since he was born and all the calamities that he went through, he was very, very calm. Always very calm. He never shouted despite being tortured, despite going through sanctions, despite starving, he never shouted. Despite being oppressed. And he was gentle with the mistakes of other people. He would always forego his own rights in pardoning other people. If somebody has done something bad to him, and it was his right to reclaim from that person that the person's done bad to him, he would forego it. He would pardon people. And whenever he was going to return a favor, he'd return it in a better way. You do me a favor, I will do you a favor back, but I'll do it even better, to make you feel even happier. He never lied, he never oppressed anyone, and he was always known as being generous and brave. This was his character. And now we can move on to talk about his life in general. Now, even before he was born, his mother saw a dream where something was coming out of her and it was illuminating the whole of Jazirat al-Arab all the way to Sham. She didn't know what that meant. After he was born, strange things used to happen to this young man. Trees used to prostrate, and Prophet ﷺ, after he became a prophet, he said, Wallahi, when I used to walk in Makkah, some of the stones used to give me salam. I didn't know what that was. I was just walking and the stones are giving me salam. So this man, this boy, was something amazing, even before he knew it. Before he was born, there was a king who was extremely jealous of Makkah. He was jealous about the power that Makkah held, the economy that Makkah held. So what he wanted to do is he wanted to destroy the Kaaba. He prepared an army of elephants and he marched towards the Kaaba to destroy it. But out of Allah's favor, Allah defended the Kaaba without any human intervention at all. And it was in that year the Prophet ﷺ was born. Some of the ulama have said that after every kind of dhulm and oppression, there's always a hikmah. There's always some kind of wisdom that's going to come out of what we see as being fitna and oppression. He was born, the Prophet ﷺ, and his father passed away, Abdullah, even before he was born. So he was born already an orphan. His father went traveling on business because of his father, the grandfather, the Prophet ﷺ, sending him away, and he didn't return. So this boy, if you can imagine, the best of mankind, is being put into this world, into this society that was extremely foul and extremely dangerous, without a father. And Allah praises him and reminds him of this favor in Surah Duha. And we'll revisit this later, inshallah. When he was 4 years old, he was sent to Bani Sa'd in the desert. And this was the habit at that time. And he used to grow up with the people that were there. And there was one incident where Jibreel came down and he opened the chest of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Again, something which was strange. He didn't know what was happening. He knew all of these things that are happening around him, but he couldn't explain it. Why me? What is happening? This amazing figure came down and he's 4 years old, he's terrified. Opens up his heart and the children around him were terrified. Cleaned him with the water of Zamzam in a gold vessel, and he went. This was extremely startling for the Prophet ﷺ and all the people around him. So Bani Sa'd said, we don't want you anymore. We fear for you. Something is happening to you and you are being targeted, and we can't look after this anymore. We don't want this kind of attraction in our little camp. So he returned to his mother, and when he was 6 years old, his mother went on a trip to Medina to visit her family. Her uncles were there, she was from Medina, and she didn't return. 6 years old, these things are happening to him in his life that he can't explain. He's never known a father. He lives in this society of shirk and oppression and dhulm and killing, and now his mother has passed away. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Then he was given in custody to Ayman, who he had a lot of respect for even after he moved to Medina, and she became Muslim and she joined him in Medina. And this shows the level of connection that he had. And this shows the level of sincerity that she saw in him, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Even before, when he was a young man, she knew that he's not a liar. And then he was given to his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, because he had a lot of love for him. But Abdul Muttalib was extremely old and he passed away as well. But before he passed away, he left a will and he said, Muhammad alayhi salam is going to be given in custody to Abu Talib. This is how much care and attention that he showed to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Not that he gets passed around again. Beyond this, he grew up, he had a relatively normal life, but he became known as Al-Amin. And this was a miracle in itself because of the amount of oppression and tyranny that was going on in that society. He had no real tarbiyah, but he still was somebody who was upon Tawheed. He never practiced shirk. He had the best of manners. He was extremely truthful. He was extremely efficient when he used to do his work, and he was very, very wise. So that's why he was appointed as a shepherd, because of his patience. And then later on, he had a job with a woman who was a very, very well-known businesswoman at that time. And she used to send him to Sham with lots of money and to bring back lots of goods. And on every single business trip and every single transaction, she used to be amazed by his character. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And with him, Muhammad alayhi salam, was a young boy called Maysara. And Maysara used to report back to Khadija and even add to the amount of truthfulness and the amazement that he used to see in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we talk about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is not possible, there is no seerah unless we talk about Khadija bint Khuwaylid radiyallahu anha. She was this businesswoman. Before Islam, she was known as At-Tahira, somebody who was pure and clean. Women used to get abused. Women used to do whatever they wanted. Women used to dress, there was no code. They used to come out however they wanted. She was At-Tahira. The ulama of Islam also have said that she was extremely wise, she was extremely mannered. And when she saw this man, Muhammad alayhi salam, come out from this level of oppression, a rose was coming out from concrete, she knew that this man was special. So she wanted to marry him. And they got married and they had a fruitful relationship. The Prophet ﷺ loved her a lot, to the extent that he didn't remarry. He only remained married to Khadija for the period of Makkan. And this clearly refutes the idea that the Prophet ﷺ was a person based by his desires. Clearly not. Had he been, he could have had all the way. He was from Quraysh, the leaders of the tribe. He could have had anyone he wanted. He only remained faithful to Khadija. Even after she passed away, he didn't remarry straight away. He had 6 children with her, 4 girls and 2 boys. And even when he moved to Medina, he remembered her a lot. He used to remember her relatives and he used to send them gifts. To the extent that Aisha radiallahu anha said that I've never met anybody, I've never been jealous of somebody that I've never met. This is Khadija, the amount of love that he had for her. Now, we all kind of know this already. We've all seen the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. But what does this teach us? This teaches us something which is very, very important, my brothers and sisters. The Quran that you have on your bookshelf, the Sunnah that you have on the bookshelf, this whole life that we're trying to study and come to grips with, comes from a household with a strong and a sincere woman. Comes from a household, from a strong and a sincere and a supportive and a wise and a pure woman. Imagine if he didn't have this, and we will see some of the things that she did for him to facilitate his message. She was the best of women, the Prophet ﷺ said. And even Jibreel used to come down and used to give salam to Khadija for me. Radiallahu anha. The Prophet ﷺ, even before he was a prophet, he used to love to go to the Kaaba. He used to signify Tawheed, and he used to go there to pray there. There was once a flood when he was 35 years old, which destroyed the Kaaba. Now the Quraysh were very, very worried. The Kaaba has literally been destroyed. What do we do? What do we do? Well, the Kaaba has been destroyed. They were panicking. Some of them said, leave it alone. If you touch it, the same thing that happened to Abraha will happen to you. Don't go near it. Allah will make it up again if He wants to. Others said, no, we are the custodians of this Kaaba, so we must respect it and rebuild it. Abraha tried to destroy it. We're trying to respect it. So they built it. Tawakkal, they built it. But there became an issue. The black stone that came from Jannah, and Ibrahim placed it with his son Ismail, they didn't know where to place it anymore. Where do we place it? The Kaaba has been destroyed. We had a precedence before, but now we don't know because we built it again. To the extent that because the Quraysh was so power hungry and mad, the tribes were ready to fight and kill one another inside the Haram of Allah. They knew even at that time that you cannot fight inside the Haram. They were about to get into a physical confrontation about this. One of them said, wait, this is preposterous, you can't do this. Let's all agree that the next person that comes through that door, he is the one that will decide. This is Allah's house, whoever He brings in, He can decide. They agreed. Khalas, let's do this. Who was it? It was Al-Amin, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So they rejoiced, they said, this man is Amin, he is the best man. I don't know why we think about it before. He is Al-Amin. From the hikmah of it, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he got a sheet, put a black stone in the middle of it, and he made them all put it in the place together. And this sheet clearly shows you that the Prophet ﷺ, he's not a Nabi of bloodshed. He's a Nabi of wisdom. He's a Nabi of harmony. Even before he was a prophet, he had these qualities. 5 years later, when he was 40 years old, it was normal habit for him to go up to Hira and worship Allah alone, get away from the idols, get away from the oppression, and face Bayt al-Maqdis with the Kaaba in front of him. Face the Qibla was Bayt al-Maqdis. He used to face Bayt al-Maqdis with the Kaaba in front of him. And he used to go away and he used to be secluded. And one night he heard something when he was there. He was startled. Nobody's up here. Nobody knows I'm here. And the voice said to him, read. He said, I don't know how to read. Who are you? I don't know how to read. 3 times, read. Ma ana biqari. I don't know who you are, but I cannot read. 3rd time, read. I don't know how to read. Until this thing grabbed him by its cuff, some of the ulama said. Some of the ulama said it hugged him. It grabbed him by its cuff to the extent that he felt that he couldn't breathe. Extremely suffocated, distressed. He said, read. And the first ayat of Surah Iqra, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, khalaqa al-insana min alaq, Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram, alladhi allama bil qalam, allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. Now he became a prophet. Now he realized that this is a message from his Lord. The best man ever created, in the best city that Allah has chosen. The best man with the best nature and the best lineage ever. The best of angels came with the best of books to teach him the best of shari'ahs. In the best month of Ramadan, on the night of Qadr, which is the best night of the whole calendar. This is what Allah has chosen for our Prophet, and this is enough honor for us all. Follow this Nabi, you are following the best of the best of the best. So now he is scared, so he ran off to the house of Khadija. And we talked about her just a little while ago. What did she do? Did she say, you're crazy? What did she do? She said, I need you. Where have you been? What did she say? He was extremely confused and he was extremely worried, in a state of fear, she grabbed him with compassion. She said, you support the needy, you walk with the orphans, you are upholding the ties of kinship. Allah will never degrade you. This is something good that's happening to you. She used wisdom. She used compassion. She reassured him. And because of this, of her treatment towards her husband, she became the first person to say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And the Prophet ﷺ in another hadith said that Khadija radiallahu anha will have baytun fil Jannah min al-qasab. She'll have a house in Jannah with the best of materials. La nasab fihi wala khasab. Now in this house, there will be no tiredness in Jannah, and there will be no loud noises in Jannah for her house that Allah has preserved for her there. And others from the ulama, Ibn Hajar and others have said the reason being is because she made her house as an emotional hub for the Prophet ﷺ. She used to work tirelessly to be a good wife, to be supportive. And she never used to disrespect him, and she never used to raise her voice to him. She never used to challenge him. So what will happen to her? A guaranteed house in Jannah without any tiredness, like she had the tiredness in the dunya, and without any loud voices, any confrontation, just like she had built this house for the Prophet ﷺ in the dunya. It clearly shows you that women have a central role in Islam. Imagine if she didn't react in that way. Allah knows best what would have happened. So the Prophet ﷺ now is in a state of fear, but at the same time, he wants to recite more Quran. The revelation has come to him in his heart, and he's recited it. The Prophet ﷺ was the most connected to the Quran. So he used to go back to Hira, even though he was scared, even though he knew that this thing almost suffocated him, even though this thing confused him and created a level of fear, he still went back. He went back for the first night, he didn't see anything. He went back for the second night, he didn't see anything. He went back for the third night, he didn't see anything. Disappointed. He stayed in the mountain, climbed up for 2-3 hours, came back down, stayed there for lengthy periods by himself in the dark, and then he came home. On the third night, on his way home, he saw this amazing and enormous figure in the sky. It was Jibreel alayhi salam, in his true form. 600 wings filled the sky. It was dark, and he was illuminating, the best of angels. 600 wings filled the horizon. And he was on his own arsh coming down. This terrified him. This absolutely terrified him. This is something that human nature and the human eyesight cannot really be prepared to see. He ran home. And he told her again, something's happening, cover me up. He was shaking, he was sweating. Prophet ﷺ received revelation for the second time. Ya ayyuhal muddathir, qum fa'andir, wa rabbaka fakabbir, wa thiyabaka fatahhir, wa rujza fahjur. Stand up and warn them. Purify yourself from shirk. Tell them that Allah is one. And go back to Allah in worshipping Him. What's the relationship between Surah Iqra and Surah Muddathir? Why did Allah choose the first incident to have Iqra and the second one to Muddathir? Is it just coincidence, or is there a hikmah behind it? Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said the first commandments that the Prophet ﷺ received was of Tawheed. Iqra bismi Rabbi, in your Lord. Gain knowledge of your Lord. Take this revelation seriously. Then Muddathir came with the same thing. وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ وَثِيَابَكَ. Give emphasis to Tawheed, but now also instill in yourself manners. وَلِرَبِّكَ فَاصْبِرْ. This is going to be really important for you now. Be patient. Have wisdom. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said that this is the message and this is the da'wah of the Prophet ﷺ in its principle. Tawheed, ilm, wisdom, sabr, ibadah. From the very beginning, this is what the Prophet ﷺ was told. So anybody who wants to go give da'wah needs to have these. These are the shurut and the conditions given of da'wah within the first revelation. So now he's been commanded. Not long after this, he went up to the Mount of Safa. Ya ayyuhal Quraysh, ya ayyuhan nas. They said, yes, Ameen. You've got a message for us? You've got an announcement? Yes, I have. Am I Ameen? Of course you are. Have I ever lied to you? Of course you haven't. If I was telling you that there's an army coming and they were prepared to attack us, would you believe me? Wholeheartedly. He said, I'm here to tell you something which is much more important. That your Lord is one, and the punishment is coming very close to us from Allah. Some of them, this filled Iman into their hearts straight away. Because the Makkan period is about Iman and Ilm al-Ghayb. And this is what some people within that society were looking for. They knew that Allah was one. They knew that there's a Jannah. They knew that there's a Jahannam. Some people even knew that there's a Prophet coming. When he said that, the Iman was filled in their hearts. Abu Bakr, Uthman, Ali, Zayd ibn Harith, Abu Talha, Sa'd ibn Abu Bakr, and the list goes on. They all said La ilaha illallah straight away. This is Rasulullah. We're going to support him. We're going to believe in him. But other people said, Tabban lak, damn you. Is this what you've called us here for? We're busy. You thought this was just a joke, calling us and making an announcement like this? And they rejected it. Later on, some of them were happy with the religion of their forefathers, saying, are you saying that my forefathers are going to be in the hellfire? And they're the heads of the Quraysh? Are you saying that we've been doing all this time something which is misguidance? And the Quraysh were happy to be split in sects according to their idols. Are you telling us that we have to destroy all these idols and we need to become one and our sects are going to dissolve? This party has this party, this party has this group, and everybody's happy. Are you coming here to destroy that? That's what they said to him. Later on, they call him a madman. Quran was being recited to them, they knew it was the haqq. He's just crazy. It's poetry. Somebody is teaching it him. Yes, it's amazing, but somebody's teaching. He's not a prophet. Don't listen to him. And they mocked him. And they ridiculed him. He remained calm, and he remained gentle, and he remained wise. And this is a lesson for us all directly, my brothers and sisters, that the Prophet being mocked is nothing new. Everybody has a salaf, and everybody has a way that they're going to go to Jannah, or to the hellfire. Now you going to Jannah is not a new way. You're treading on a path that somebody's already treaded upon. And the reason why you're treading on that path is because you want to be like that person. And somebody else is treading his path to the hellfire, and he's treading on that path because he wants to be like that person. Mocking is nothing new, and Tawheed and Sabr and Iman is nothing new. But the Prophet didn't get emotional. He didn't go out and say, I'm exercising my democratic rights and I'm going to shout at you back. Sabr, Tawheed, wisdom. He still didn't know what was going on. So Khadija said, look, my cousin, his name is Waraqah ibn Nawfal, he reads the books of the people of the book a lot. He will know what's going on. He's a very learned man, let's go and see him. Supportive, reassuring him. She didn't say he's crazy, she didn't say it's your problem, you sort it out. These are the bills. He said, this is the Namus, this was the angel that came to Musa, and he's giving you the same revelation. These people rejecting you is nothing new. They're going to drive you out of your city, just you wait and see. And if I could, and I was alive, I will support you, but I don't think I will be alive. So now this continued, and the Prophet ﷺ received ilm from a alim, to the extent that he saw Waraqah bin Nawfal in Jannah. So now they're living in this life, and they're living a life of strangeness and a life of sabr. The camps have been split in Makkah. You have people of Iman who are slowly, very slowly growing, 20, 30, 40 people. And then you had the majority, the Quraysh, who were harming these people who said La ilaha illallah. They were punishing them, they were burning them, they were torturing them, they were throwing hot stones on them, making them lie down in the sand. They were putting sanctions on them. We're not going to speak to you, you're not allowed to eat food. And some of them were forced to say words of kufr at knife point. Reject Muhammad, reject his religion. And again, this is the sunnah of those people who want to attack and mock Islam. But the companions do not start shouting. They remain firm. And here I'd like to draw a piece in the Quran which is very, very befitting. Most of Juz Ummah was Makkan surahs. And Imam al-Suyuti said, from Surah Duha, Allah talks about the early message of the Prophet ﷺ. ما ودأك ربك وما قلى والآخرة خير لك من الأولى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى. The Prophet ﷺ is reminded during this period of starvation and sanctions and difficulty and torture. Weren't you an orphan and I supported you? Weren't you poor and I gave you wealth? Weren't you not knowledgeable and I gave you ilm? Alam nashrah laka sadra, the next surah. And we raised your station. Now nobody says La ilaha illallah except they say Muhammad Rasulullah together. Wat-tini wa zaytun, the next surah. We swear by this city that you are going to be successful. Ajrun ghayru mamnoon. Remember what we said to you, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, fasjud waqtarib. Leave that the people who are telling you to follow the shirk and the kufr. Just get close to Allah. Because inna anzalnahu fi laylat, the next surah. We have given you this Quran on this amazing night. And you have the bayyinah. لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب. To the end of the surah, there will be a part in Jannah and there will be a party in the hellfire. Al-Qariyah. إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. The earth is going to pay witness to what they said and what they did. وَالْعَادِيَاتِ ضَبَهَا فَالْمُورِيَاتِ قَدْهَا. Keep striving. Al-Qariyah. There's going to be a day where they will regret it. Don't worry, there's going to be a day where they regret it. Why are they going to regret it? أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ. They don't want to say La ilaha illallah because they want to hold on to the power that the Quraysh have. And this has been the habit of mankind since day one. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Why are they in khusr? وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. Makkan surah. The person who backbites and slanders, wail, hellfire for him. Why? الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالًا وَعَدَّدَ. He thinks that life is about power and money. Don't they see what happened to Abraha? He thought the same thing. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. And we destroyed Abraha and we got rid of this ideology. لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ. For you, Quraysh. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Don't you think? Is this man telling you something which is wrong? He's telling you to worship the Lord of the house that you have in front of you. أَرَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. But besides that, they still reject. فَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ. They don't care about the yatim, they don't care about the people who are socially lower than them, they will oppress them, and they وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَعُونَ. Even if it's a small act of goodness, we're not interested. I'm happy, I got my power. But it's glad tidings for you, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why? إِنَّا أَعْتَيْنَاكَ الْكَوْثَرَ فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْهَرْ. We are giving you a kawthar in the akhirah. We are giving you blessedness in this dunya. It's going to come. You just turn to your Lord, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْهَرْ, and say to them, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ آبِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ. Remain firm. لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ. I will have my recompense in the dunya and you will have yours in the dunya and the akhirah also. Why? إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ. I will win. Makkah will be mine. the Jazirat al-Arab will say La ilaha illallah, this is a promise to you. And you, heads of Quraysh, Tabbat yada Abee Lahabin wa tab. You will follow Abu Lahab and the way that he went to the hellfire. Hammalatul hatal. His wife was supporting him, what happened to her? My message, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas. Go back to Allah in Tawheed. Learn His names and His attributes and worship Him. Imam al-Suyuti connects from Surah Duha all the way to Nas, the Makkan period. Going back to the story though, the companions were being affected and hurt, and Abu Talib was his custodian, and the ulama now have said that he had an emotional hub and he had a political hub. Abu Talib was his political hub. Nobody could affect or kill the Prophet ﷺ because Abu Talib was alive. He was the head of Quraysh. If they did something to the Prophet ﷺ, that's an attack on Banu Hashim. It's not an attack on Muhammad. It's going to create war. Abu Talib is alive. And some of the ulama said that this is hikmah, why he didn't become Muslim. Had he become Muslim, they would have said he's fair game also. Let's torture him also. So him remaining kafir, he became the umbrella for the Prophet ﷺ to continue giving da'wah. At this period, the Muslims remained brave and remained firm. Allah gave them instructions to give, to purify themselves, even to financially support the da'wah. And this is what initially came. When the Muslims are in a state of weakness, financial da'wah is the most important thing. And then the oppression got really, really bad. So the companion said, Ya Rasulullah, I don't know how long we can take this. We've heard there's a just king in East Africa. Let's go to him. He's just. He's not going to oppress us. We go there, he'll give us a visa, we'll be able to practice our religion, and we're not going to oppress people and go there and do crime. We're not going to go there and forget Islam. We're not going to go there and immigrate to this land, and further down the generations, we're not going to listen to the Prophet ﷺ anymore. They said, there's a just king in East Africa. Let's go there so we can support our religion. He's not oppressive. So they went. Uthman radiallahu anh with the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ, Ruqayya, and there were 12 of them. They went. Uthman was extremely rich. He paid for this hijrah. To cross the Red Sea, it used to cost half a dinar. The Makkans were very, very poor. They couldn't afford that. Uthman paid for every single one of them. They went there. The Quraysh, they found out and they said, no, this is going to be a coup. He goes there, they're going to get these people and they're going to get the ear of this king. He's a monotheistic king. He believes in Isa alayhi salam, believes in one God. And they say they believe in one God also. If they go there, they're going to attack Quraysh. Quraysh sent Amr bin As and Utbah bin Rabi'ah. They went to him, Najashi, and they said, don't listen to these people. Whatever you do, don't listen to these people. We brought you gifts. They brought them the gifts of the best gifts of Makkah. And they started telling them that these people are going to do this to you. They're the worst of our people and they're running away from us. They are criminals. They are migrating to your land because they want to infiltrate your land and they want to spread an ideology and they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Najashi said, what's your message? He was just. He's not going to just take their political propaganda and media. He listened to the Muslims. What is your message? And they recited for him the beginning of Surah Maryam. And he picked up the stick and he said, this message that you have come with is no different as the distance of this stick to what Isa ibn Maryam came with. This is Tawheed. You can stay as long as you want and I will protect you. Quraysh, I'm sorry. They left, humiliated and rejected. So a group of the Muslims are living there now. Meanwhile, back in Makkah, after some time, Surah Najm was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. The entire surah. And when he recited it in front of the Quraysh at the Kaaba. وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى. Your companion, he's not misguided and he's not making things up. He's talking from wahi. And then the surah continues. He goes, you have the religion of Ibrahim, bring the religion of Ibrahim. If you don't have the religion of Ibrahim, look what happened to the people before you. أَهْلَكَ عَادٍ أُولَى وَثَمُودَ and Nuh and فَغَشَّاهَا مَا غَشَّى فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكَ تَتَمَارَى. What are these ayat that you repel of Allah and you give it to the idols instead? هَذَا نَذِيرٌ مِّن نُذُرِ الْأُولَى أَزِفَتِ الْآزِفَةِ. The nations were destroyed. لَيْسَ لَهَا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ كَاشِفًا. Nothing was able to stop them from being destroyed. أَفَمِنْ هَذَا الْحَدِيثِ تَعْجَبُونَ. Do you think this Quran has come to you and you are being, is causing disunity amongst you? Some of you really know that it's the haqq. فَاسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ وَعْبُدُوا. All of them made sujood. Even the mushriks of Quraysh joined the Prophet ﷺ because it affected their hearts. They knew it was the haqq. They left their idols, they made sujood to Allah. Except one man, one of the most khabith of the people. He got sand on his head. He goes, yeah, I'm not going to be different to you guys, but I'm just going to put it on my head. Umayy bin Khalaf, the most disgusting of people of this ummah. He hated the Prophet ﷺ. He knew that this was the haqq, everybody's doing it. Yet he still didn't want to be like them. So what happened was that this incident happened, news went back to East Africa that the people have become Muslim now. They did sujood with the Prophet ﷺ. They listened to the Quran, except Umayy bin Khalaf, but most of them they're accepting, they're right now. Let's go back. So they went back to Makkah. And the oppression was worse. It got even more intensified until there was a second hijrah which was led by Ja'far ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. The tyranny continued, but there was an incident which led for a minor victory for the Muslims. The uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, Hamza, who was from the chiefs of the Quraysh, became a Muslim. If you imagine now, somebody in senior politics, the most respected people in the world, becomes a Muslim. And he said, La ilaha illallah openly. So the rest of the chiefs now, they said, we have to do something about this. It's not fair. So the Quraysh was split up, and Banu Nawfal and Banu Abd Shams said, we need to boycott Banu Hashim, the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ, the tribe of Hamza, and Banu Muttalib. So they wrote a boycott. No trade, no marriage, no speaking, no salam, nothing. Complete boycott. They wrote this down and they hung it inside the Kaaba. And this led for more oppression. This led for more oppression because now there's an official boycott. And this continued for 3 years. The Muslims, some of them had to eat leaves. The Muslims were being tortured. The first woman of Islam was martyred to the extent where they stuck things into her most sensitive part until she bled to death. Now my brothers and sisters, what we see in Burma, what we see in Syria, what we see in Palestine is bad. Don't get me wrong. Allah make it easy for them and give the oppressors their due justice. But do we think that this fitna that they're facing now in Burma and these places is worse than the fitna that happened to the Prophet ﷺ? It's not possible. Even if what they're afflicting, let's say for argument's sake, even if they're afflicting on what these people here, chemical warfare, radiation, is harmful, more harmful, these people attacked the best of mankind. They knew he was speaking the truth, they knew he was the Rasulullah. Despite this, they oppressed him and the people that were with him, without any limits. But success was there. So now what we need to see as an ummah is how did they resolve the situation? Because there is a resolution. There was a fitna, there was a resolution, then there was victory. Right now we're in fitna. What's the resolution? The Muslims struggled and they continued to struggle, and then there was a personal year of sadness for the Prophet ﷺ. Abu Talib, the political umbrella protection for the Prophet ﷺ, passed away. It was his uncle. He was a Muslim and he tried to make him Muslim, but he didn't want to listen. So even on a humanistic level, he was very sad. 3 days later, his wife passed away. His emotional support. So now he has no protection in society and he has no emotional support. This is why he went to Ta'if. He knew if he goes to Ta'if, he can try and get some kind of political support. There's nobody in Quraysh that's going to give it to him. He went to Ta'if. What did they do? They abused him probably worse than the way that the Quraysh abused him. Threw stones at him until he bled. Zayd ibn Haritha had to cover him, and they were thrown out to the extent that even little children, out of humiliation, were throwing stones at the Prophet ﷺ. Nabi al-Rahmah, if he wanted to seek revenge, just like that, he could have. The angels could have crushed Ta'if if they want. Ta'if would not exist today if they wanted to, in support of the Prophet ﷺ. But this is a lesson. Why did Allah give him a choice? He knew he's not going to say yes. Why did Allah give him a choice? To make it clear that the message is not to kill. The message is to use hikmah. The message is in the future, not now. It's not knee-jerk. This person says something about my Rasul, I'm going to say something about him. So they struggled, and they continued to struggle, but after hardship, there's always relief. The Prophet ﷺ remained firm in dua, in tawakkul, in sabr, in wisdom, and in da'wah. Hajj was a time when people used to come to Makkah. And this was a time when he realized that people are coming in from outside. I can give da'wah now. And if somebody accepts my da'wah, I can go and join them. I can leave the oppression, I can take my companions with me, and we can go. A man called Tufail ibn Amr from the tribe of Daws, he came from Yemen, and he heard the Quran being recited. I said, what is this? They said, yeah, it's this madman, don't listen to him. Abu Jahl used to propagate and come out with his media forces in Hajj time because they knew that he had to. If he gets the ear of one person, then this could be detrimental for Quraysh. Don't listen to this guy. Tufail said, no, forget it. I'm not going to listen to you, I'm going to listen to Muhammad. He went to listen to Muhammad and he accepted. But he said, I'm going to go back to my people, but they're not going to understand what I'm saying to them. Teach me what I should say to them and give me a sign. And the Prophet ﷺ said, give me your whip. He took the whip of Tufail and he put light at the end of the whip. And that light remained illuminated all the way back to Yemen, to the extent Tufail was later known as Dhul Nur. Went back to his people, the people of Daws said, what is this? What is this? It's like a shining thing. No technology, no nothing. This is from Rasulullah. The whole tribe accepted Islam. The whole tribe accepted Islam. During this period, there was also another minor victory for the Muslims. One of the strongest and bravest men of Quraysh went to his sister's house, and she was reciting Quran, and he got extremely upset. So he went to Muhammad ﷺ, waving his sword, I'm going to kill this man. Nobody stood in his way because he was the strongest man in Quraysh. Rasulullah ﷺ calmly said, let him come in. Close to one with the heavyweight of the world, probably, with a sword. Calm, and he hugged him. Said, you've got nothing to worry about. Umar said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Now we have Umar, now we have Hamza, now we have Abu Bakr. We're growing. It's optimism. Just have some sabr. Just wait. I know it's bad. I know it's bad in Burma. I know it's bad in Syria. But if you have the right mindset, it will open. It will. Then one of the biggest miracles that ever happened in the life of the Prophet ﷺ happened in Makkah. After the Quran, there was a night where he was sleeping in the house of his auntie Hani. Jibreel came down with a buraq, bigger than a donkey, smaller than a horse, extremely white. One step is as far as the eye can see. Jibreel said, sit. But before they went, he opened up his heart again and cleaned his heart again. The ulama have said the first one was to preserve the Prophet ﷺ from his early age, before prophethood, so that he remains wise and he remains upon Tawheed and he remains away from sin. This one now was to open his heart and clean his heart again so that it be filled with hikmah and iman. He's going to meet his Lord. Jibreel washed his heart so it could be filled with hikmah and iman. They went to Bayt al-Maqdis. Why? Because Islam doesn't come to conflict with the previous message. We're not here calling, and our presence in this country is not so that we conflict with the Jews or the Christians or any other kind of religious belief. We are here to see how we can get together in worshipping one Lord. So if you have some kind of things in your book, then we can talk about that. And we can use that to proclaim there is only one Lord. If there is only one Lord, then there's only one final messenger. And everything else will fall into place. Islam did the same thing. It respects Bayt al-Maqdis until today. It respects the Anbiya that came there in that vicinity and they were giving a message there. The Prophet ﷺ, before he went to meet Allah, he went to Bayt al-Maqdis to give respect to that place, to lead the Anbiya that were buried there or their souls were gathered there and led them in prayer. And some of the ulama have said that this shows the honor of Makkah over all other places, and it shows the honor of the Prophet ﷺ over all the other Anbiya. He went up and he met every stage, he met a Nabi. And we talked about this in the Serie of Musa alayhi salam. And he again saw Jibreel in his true form in the Sidr al-Muntaha. It's the highest stage where no creation can go beyond. He saw Jibreel in his true form. And he said, you have to go. And he met Allah. To the extent that some of the Sahabas, they didn't know, did he actually see Allah or was there a hijab between them? Whatever the case, some of the narrations say that the Prophet ﷺ was given three things. Directly, the Quran, the Salawat al-Khams was legislated to him. It wasn't legislated to him through Jibreel. It wasn't legislated to him through revelation whilst he was on earth. Allah directly commanded him to pray. He was given the last ayat of Surah Bakr. And he was given something that this ummah has that no other ummah have had before. The ulama have said that the Prophet ﷺ was given forgiveness for his ummah on the day of judgment for those people who come with Tawheed. The ummah of Muhammad, if you come saying La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, no matter how many sins you have, it is very, very likely and possible that Allah will forgive you despite the amount of sins that you have and enter you into His Jannah. The mercy of Allah for the most merciful of prophets and the most merciful of shari'ahs. Some of the ulama said that this favor of coming on the day of judgment with sins doesn't exist for any other ummah except the ummah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So if you belong to another ummah, even if you said La ilaha illallah, Muhammad, Musa Rasulullah, Isa Rasulullah, and you committed sins, you will have to pay for them on the day of judgment. The ummah Muhammad, Allah has mercy on you. Because you are from the ummah of the most merciful of prophets. Next morning he went back to Makkah, and as you can imagine, they were laughing. They were happy. Now we've got him. He's never lied. The Quran is, yes, disputing, there is a lot of good in it, but now he's lying. He went to Jerusalem in one night, and then he went up to the heavens, and he came back to Makkah. This is over now for you, Muhammad. This is why Abu Bakr became a Siddiq. This is why the companions became the companions that they were. Despite the fitna, they filled their hearts with iman. Whatever Rasulullah, whatever Allah and His Rasul say is the haqq. And there are some people today that use this and they say that, look at this prophet, he's calling to believe in a donkey and look at all these things. Ibn Hajar said that this is irrational. Reason being, because Allah displayed Masjid al-Aqsa in front of him, and the Prophet ﷺ saw caravans that were going and coming, and he told the Quraysh that this is what I saw, and he described what he saw from the dunya, which is proof that he is speaking the truth. So there are people who are saying that, how can he go up and how can he gave you dalil and he gave you evidence to believe in him. Something that was perceivable for you in your dunya business. So now towards the end of the Makkan period, he continued giving da'wah during the Hajj season. And there was a group of men from a tribe called Khazraj from Yathrib. And they came and they said, what is this Quran? Who is this Quran being revealed to? They went to speak to him and he says, La ilaha illallah. And they said, we accept this. This is what we were looking for. Yes, we are completely happy with this. So the Prophet ﷺ said, there was only 6 of them. He said, go back to Medina and give da'wah. I don't want anything else. Just go back to Medina and tell your people, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Leave your idols and worship. And the Prophet ﷺ also said in another hadith, إِنِّي أُمِرْتُ بِالْعَفُوِ فَلَا تُقَاتِلُ الْقَوْمِ. He said, I have been commanded and come with pardoning. I have not been commanded to come and kill and fight people. Just go back and give da'wah. Don't make this as an ideology that you want to go back and enforce upon people. And this is a fitna that is happening now. People are saying that Europe is facing an Islamification, or Europe is going through an ideology complex where people are coming from outside and they're trying to spread ideology. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah is not an ideology. We are presenting to you what the Quran and the Sunnah says. Whether you accept it, khair. If you don't accept it, then there is no harm. We are going to live with you harmoniously. The idea that we secretly want to kill people who don't say La ilaha illallah until we rule their country is wrong. The seerah of the Prophet ﷺ clearly shows that. If the Prophet ﷺ wanted to do that with Medina, he could have. He didn't. In fact, for 13 years he was saying, don't kill people, just say La ilaha illallah. The ulama of Islam have said for 23 years he was a prophet, only 1,000 people were killed. 23 years out of something 50, 60 battles, only 23 people were killed. And this includes capital punishment, this includes... And how many people did the Prophet ﷺ himself hit and kill? He hit 0. It's proven in the hadith. He never hit anybody, including his wives. This is another misconception. Except one person that he killed, and that was done out of self-defense. Somebody was trying to kill him in Uhud, and he repelled, and that person happened to die. So my point here, my brothers, there is no ideology. The West doesn't have to fear about Islam. We've not got a hidden agenda in this room that me and you are psychologically thinking that yes, we're going to go kill someone, and once we have the chance, we're going to take over the country. That's not the point. The point is that we understand the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and we call to La ilaha illallah. The next year, these 6 men came back, and how many people did they have with them? 70 people. This is the proof. We're not going out there and saying politics. We're not going out there and say kill people. Call people to La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and Allah will open the door for you. 70 people came and they said, we are going to give you the pledge of allegiance. And this happened at a place in Aqaba in the days of Mina, Jamarat. And they said, come and we will give you allegiance. The Aus and the Khazraj from Medina said, you are our new leader. And we give you allegiance. Allegiance now means that you are our leader and we will support you until death. Nothing's going to replace you as our leader. We have chosen you as our leader. Look what happened. After 13 years of torment and tyranny, and he remained patient. He remained saying La ilaha illallah. He remained firm upon his religion and he kept using wisdom. The Prophet ﷺ then saw a dream. And he was making hijrah to a place where there were palm trees. Either it was Medina, he interpreted it to himself, either it's Medina, and this is going to happen with this pledge, or it's going to be a place called Yamama, which is known as Najd today. And some of the ulama have said that if Najd was the place where the shaitan was going to be resurrected, then it's not conceivable that the Prophet ﷺ was going to make hijrah there in the first place, if that's a place of shaitan. Just a side benefit. So anyway, he went, and it was until the extent that everybody started migrating, and it was only Prophet ﷺ, Abu Bakr and Ali left. They knew that this was happening now. So the Prophet ﷺ's house was surrounded. The Prophet ﷺ left the house with peace and security, reciting the Quran and placing dust over their eyes so they couldn't see. Ali was inside the house. So when they opened, they saw Ali was there. Where's Muhammad gone? Panic stations. He's gone, we need to catch him. If he gets to Medina, then this is over. This is over for our power, it's over for economy, it's over for us. They knew it. They knew he had the haqq. So they went north. Prophet ﷺ went south. And they went round, because Medina is on top north. So he went round using hikmah. They stayed in a place called Thawr, which is the mountain of Thawr, for 3 days. But they knew that Abu Bakr's family is still in Makkah. How are they going to stay wherever they are? How are they going to stay without any provisions? They followed Asma bint Abu Bakr. And she was going and her brother was going and they were giving provisions to the Prophet ﷺ. They followed her and they knew that he was there and they went and looked inside but they couldn't see anything. Abu Bakr was panicking. Abu Bakr was scared. Not because of his life as the ulama have said. is because he feared that the message was going to come to an end. What did Allah say? Allah said in the Quran, "La tahzan, inna Allah ma'ana." Nobody in the Quran has been said except Abu Bakr that Allah is with you. Don't worry. So they went. They couldn't catch them. The Quraysh said, anybody who finds Muhammad and his companion, we'll give him 100 camels. 100 camels, 100 houses. Today's equivalent. I'll give you 100 houses. Find this man for me, dead or alive. Abu Bakr knew that the intensity of the Quraysh is there. So when they are walking in the desert, he's continuously just looking around. He's not even looking at Rasulullah, he's just looking right and left. He saw a horse coming. He was worried. This horse is bad news. Either this person is going to capture us or he's going to tell someone that's going to capture us. This is the end. Where we're going to run is the desert. So far away to Medina. The Prophet ﷺ was calm, as normal. Reciting Quran, as normal. Tawakkul on Allah, as normal. Wise, as normal. Dua, as normal. The horse came close, and on top of this horse was a man called Suraqa, and he was the head of a tribe. Prophet ﷺ made dua. The legs of the horse paralyzed, it fell down instantaneously. Suraqa knew that this was from the dua of this man. So Prophet ﷺ said, don't tell anyone that we're here, don't tell anyone you saw anything. And he gave Suraqa glad tidings. He said, you're not a Muslim now, but there's going to be a day where you're going to go to the leader of the Muslims, you're going to be a Muslim, and you're going to take the wealth of the Romans and the Persians. You're going to have some of their wealth come to you. Can you imagine that? If you say to somebody in Burma right now, you're going to have your country with mansions and cars, just don't worry. It's not conceivable. You would think that the person is lying. But Suraqa knew that this person, he's made the dua, and he must be Rasulullah. Suraqa said, okay, whatever you say, just make dua for me, that this horse can get up again. He made dua and he went. He didn't tell anyone, he stayed to his word. There's a narration when Umar radiallahu anh took over Rome and Persia, he called Suraqa. And he said, Ya Suraqa bin Malik, what did the Prophet ﷺ say to you? And he said this and this. He goes, this is your share from the Romans and this is your share from the Persians. I am upholding what the Prophet ﷺ told you back then. They carried on walking, and another incident happened where they came to a tent. There was a woman there and she had some sheep, and her name was Ma'bad. And she had some sheep, and they said, can we have some of the milk from the sheep? So the Prophet ﷺ, she said, these are our sheep. But there's that one there, see if you can get something from there. We haven't had any milk from that one in a very long time. You can use that one, but we need these ones. Prophet ﷺ went there and he wiped over it and he made dua. The milk started to pour. They drank to their fill. Prophet ﷺ, Abu Bakr, the woman was astonished. Her husband came back, Abu Ma'bad, he said, what has happened here? Dead stock has become life again. Must be Rasulullah. And they ended up believing also. Now the Prophet ﷺ entered into Medina and they were anticipating his coming, and he came on a Monday, which is the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal. He stayed in Quba for 14 days with Banu Amir, and then people were coming out to meet him every single day, and then he moved on to Bani Najjar, a place known as Bani Najjar, and he told the people, leave the camel be, the camel is going to choose. The camel came and it chose the place for what we see as Masjid al-Haram in Medina today. This was divine instruction from Allah. But just one last thing, the Prophet ﷺ, when he went to Medina, what did he say? Again, did he call for ideology? Did he call for killing people? Right, I've got the power now, I can do whatever I want. I've got the power now, let's go fight Quraysh. The first thing that he did is, again, tell people about La ilaha illallah, but the first thing that he did, he made a thing called Muwaqa. He created brotherhood between the Ansar and the Muhajirun. This is your brother. To the extent that one of the Muhajirun said that I have a wife, Ansar, he said, I have a wife, I will divorce her so that you can marry her, ya Muhajir. This is my wealth, this is your wealth now. We are brothers. He created cooperation upon Tawheed and Iman. And the goal for the Akhirah. Not for immediate knee-jerk political reactions. When he went there, he created treaties with the Muslims and the non-Muslims around him, the Jews and the mushriks. He used wisdom. And this is the call of the Prophet ﷺ in Makkah. And the Shaykh will continue with the call of the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. Ask Allah to make this beneficial for ourselves and give us strength after we have been given weakness, and give us honor after we have been disrespected. And that He doesn't punish us for only talking about the Prophet ﷺ for 1 hour from the day. هذا والله أعلم وصلى اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.